You're on halfway between zero. I share stories that linger in the shadows, the kind that make you question what's real. Scared. Good. That's exactly where you should be. Stay close, or you might never leave. The door that ate light. I never thought a door could be dangerous. It's not until I saw it in the alley behind my building, black and unassuming, yet it swallowed every bit of light around it. It's the first time I passed it. I noticed the air felt heavier. Its shadows pooled unnaturally, like the night itself had decided to huddle there. I touched the handle. Cold, wet, not metal, something organic, like slick bark or skin stretched over iron. My hand recoiled immediately. Something whispered behind me, soft, mocking, like someone laughing without sound. I turned. Nothing. Only the door. Dark, breathing faintly, swallowing light even in the dim street lamp. Curiosity made me return the next night. Street quiet. Windows shut. Only the door, waiting, pulsating slightly, like it knew I'd be back. I held my phone near it. The screen went black the moment I pointed it at the door, battery draining impossibly fast, as if it didn't want to be recorded. The air smelled wrong, metallic, earthy, wet. I gagged. Some instinct in me screamed to run, but the door, it was patient, watching, inviting. I opened it a crack. Inside was darkness, darker than night. A shape moved. I couldn't tell if it was alive or just the absence of life itself. Then a sound. My name. My full name. Not whispered, shouted silently inside my skull. The door didn't speak. The door knew. A hand shot out from the darkness. I flinched. It didn't touch me. It passed through the threshold like a shadow that remembered my shape. I tried to step back, but the alley behind me had vanished. Only the door, nothing else. Cold pressed against my back. The shape inside shifted, revealing glimpses of rooms I didn't recognize. Peeling wallpaper, broken mirrors, furniture stacked impossibly high, faces pressed into walls. One mirror reflected me, or maybe someone else. My reflection blinked, smiled, then mouthed words I hadn't thought yet. The darkness began to pulse, expanding beyond the frame of the door. It filled my senses with cold, sucking light and warmth from everything around me. I panicked, turned to run. The street had returned, but the door was in front of me now, on the sidewalk, unhinged, waiting. Something inside the darkness whispered secrets about people I had never met. Memories, stolen from strangers, replayed in my mind with vivid clarity. I noticed my shadow was missing. Where it should be on the pavement, there was only black nothing, crawling toward the door. I kicked it. Nothing. My foot passed through the blackness like it was liquid. Panic surged. I realized the door didn't just eat light, it ate presence. I tried to close the door. The handle resisted, sticky. The darkness pushed back. I felt a pull, tugging at my chest. My limbs, like gravity, turned inside out. My phone buzzed in my pocket. Notifications I never sent, pictures I never took, whispers I didn't remember speaking. I ran. The door stayed behind me, perfectly still, but I could feel it pulsing, breathing, waiting for nightfall to expand again. The next day, I found marks in the alley, faint black stains, patterns that resembled hands pressing against invisible glass. At night, Lights flicker near that spot. Shadows stretch. People avoid it. I can't. Something draws me back, reminding me I belong in the threshold. Every reflection of that alley and windows shows something different. A room, a person, a void. Each one looks like it's waiting for me to step inside. I tried telling friends. They saw nothing, laughed. Yet sometimes I catch their eyes, and for a second, I swear I see the door reflected there. Some nights, I wake sweating, swear I hear whispers, promises of light, of secrets, of things I shouldn't know from behind that door. I've stopped walking past alleys when it's dark, but the memory of it crawls into my dreams. The pulsing, the swallowing, the patient wait. If you've ever wondered what a shadow could hide, maybe you should subscribe. It's just in case you find a door that eats more than light. Even now, I hear it, the soft thrum of the darkness, patient, waiting, always waiting. The collector and the static. I moved into the neighborhood on a quiet evening, the kind where the streetlights hum and shadows stretch too long, almost sentient. From the first night, I felt eyes on me sharp, patient. Unseen, but the streets were empty, the sidewalks cracked and silent. My apartment overlooked a small parking lot, but no matter where I looked, the stillness seemed deliberate, as if someone was always watching. On the second night, the static started faint on my old TV, a hiss that didn't match any channel, almost like it was alive. I ignored it, telling myself it was wiring or exhaustion, but in the flicker, shapes began forming brief, impossible shapes. Faces appeared in the static, featureless but aware, staring directly at me before disappearing the moment I leaned closer. Sleep offered no comfort. Dreams were full of watching eyes, faceless figures standing at the edge of every scene, patient and silent. By the third night, shadows in the apartment stretched unnaturally, lining with the shapes I glimpsed in the static, almost like a choreography I couldn't see. I found an old CCTV camera outside a nearby store and hooked it to my monitor. I was curious if the alley behind my building held the answers. At first, nothing but static and flickering streetlights. Then, a figure appeared in the corner of the frame still, faceless, impossible. I blinked, rubbed my eyes, and it vanished, leaving only the hiss and the echo of my own pulse in the empty lot. Over the next nights, it appeared more often, always in the same corner, always watching, never moving or blinking, as if existing just to be seen. My sleep eroded. I noticed subtle movements in the apartment, objects slightly shifted, doors ajar that I was sure I had closed. I began recording the CCTV feed obsessively, watching every frame, trying to catch it clearly, trying to prove it wasn't my imagination. The recordings showed more than I expected: objects bending physics, floating briefly, shadows twisting in ways I knew shouldn't happen. I started reviewing frame by frame. Each time the figure seemed closer, more purposeful, almost human in posture, though impossible in reality. Friends laughed when I shared clips, glitches, paranoia, Tochka. The cold dread in my chest was real, undeniable. Then, one night, it turned its head toward the camera, just slightly, acknowledging my watching, and the static warped with sharp, unnatural lines. The apartment felt different afterward. Walls leaned inward, shadows stretched along surfaces that had never been in light's reach. My phone picked up interference, distorted whispers, repeating patterns, almost like instructions, almost like the collector was speaking to me. I felt it at the edge of my vision, always there, patient, unblinking, waiting, shaping my perception without entering my line of sight. One night I left the apartment, walked the streets to shake it off, but when I glanced at the lobby monitor, it was there, impossibly close, still faceless. Panic settled in. I unplugged everything, tore wires out, yet the static persisted, voices murmuring in tones that froze my blood. The figure began appearing in other recording street cameras I never installed, angles I never filmed, always watching, always closer. I realized then it wasn't confined to anything physical. It existed in footage, in memory, in the space between watching and being watched. The apartment became a trap. Every reflection, every monitor, every screen flickered hints of presence, fleeting but unmistakable, impossible to ignore. I stopped sleeping, moving in shifts, haunted by the knowledge that one glance at static could reveal it, closer than before, patient as ever. One night, the clearest frame appeared, the figure directly facing the camera, its hands hovering unnaturally, as if poised to reach through the image itself. I screamed, smashing the monitor. Static sprayed across the screens like sparks, filling the room with a hiss louder than any street noise. When I dared to look again, the apartment was empty normal, but I knew it had been there, and it would return, waiting for the next time I forgot to look. Mirrors that whisper. I moved into an old apartment building that smelled faintly of mildew and varnish, the kind of place where the walls seemed to listen. Thursday night, I noticed a mirror in the hallway reflecting something. It's wrong. My own reflection didn't match my movements perfectly. I shrugged it off as exhaustion, but each glance over the next hours revealed subtle distortions, an eye too wide, a smile that lingered too long. By the second night, I could hear whispers when I passed mirrors, faint but urgent, impossible to understand, like someone trying to communicate from just beyond glass. I caught a glimpse of something moving behind me, in the reflection, though the apartment remained empty whenever I turned around. Every mirror in the building seemed to echo it, repeating subtle movements that weren't mine, mirroring impossible gestures in tandem. Sleep became uneasy. I woke thrashing, convinced I saw faceless figures behind every reflection, dissolving when I blinked. I began recording myself in the apartment, hoping the camera would capture what I couldn't see directly, hoping for proof. The footage revealed fleeting shapes behind mirrors, subtle ripples in the glass, like water disturbed by something invisible. One night, the whispers became clearer, forming words I couldn't quite hear, phrases that seemed to follow me from room to room. The hallway mirror seemed to pulse, and my reflection staggered, lagging behind my real movements. The world bending slightly around it, the tide covering mirrors, draping sheets, but reflections still appeared in unexpected places, framed pictures, windows, even in my phone screen. Objects in the apartment shifted subtly, though the reflections were experimenting, learning, testing boundaries without leaving the glass. I caught my reflection moving independently, mouth opening to whisper words I didn't say, eyes flicking to corners I couldn't see. The whispers grew louder at night, more urgent, forming patterns in my mind that made my pulse spike with fear. I noticed shapes in the mirrors that didn't exist in reality, figures standing behind walls, bending over doorways, always just out of reach. One night, I followed a shadow in the mirror. It mimicked me exactly, leading me to a room I didn't recognize in the apartment layout. The room was empty, but the mirror reflected the shape of a person standing directly behind me, faceless, patient, unmoving. I spun around, nothing. The mirror showed the figure still there, closer now, hands hovering unnaturally, as if reaching through the glass. I tried breaking the mirror. It shattered into fragments, but the reflection persisted in every remaining shard, multiplied, watching, whispering. The whispers formed my name, over and over, looping, echoing, pressing into my skull until I could barely think. I slept with my back to mirrors, waking to see distorted movements, shadows bending, shapes forming in the corners of my eyes. I began avoiding mirrors entirely, but glimpses of my reflection still appeared in other reflective surfaces. Windows, polished counters, even the screen of my TV. The apartment itself seemed to bend around the reflections, hallways longer than they should be, corners shifting subtly when I wasn't looking. I recorded everything obsessively, frames revealing figures behind mirrors that weren't there when I watched live, always closer than before. One night, a reflection stepped out of the mirror briefly, paused, and then returned, leaving a chill where it had stood. I considered leaving, but the building seemed to resist. Hallways shifted. Doors led me back to the same mirror I'd started from. The whispers became instructions, urging me to do things I didn't understand, actions I resisted, but the tension in the reflections grew with my hesitation. I glimpsed my reflection smiling where I was frowning, eyes glinting, as if it knew something I didn't, something I would soon regret. I stopped recording, stopped watching, but the feeling persisted. Every reflective surface seemed alive, aware and patient, waiting. The last time I looked in the hallway mirror, the reflection blinked independently, and for the first time, I understood it was no longer just mimicking. It was studying me, waiting, always waiting, in every reflection I could never fully escape. The Ferris wheel that spins backwards. I shouldn't have been at that carnival that night. Told myself curiosity was harmless, but when I saw the Ferris wheel spinning backward under the flickering lights, I froze. The gates creaked behind me, wind brushing my neck, and I swear the smell of wet popcorn had a hint of iron, like something else bleeding into the night. No one else was around, not a single laugh or call of a kid. Just me, the Ferris wheel, and that low hum that made my teeth chatter. I stepped closer. The cars swung slowly, but backward. Not just rotating like they were undoing something, unrolling time in a way that didn't make sense. A scream tore through the night, short, abrupt, swallowed instantly by the wind. I couldn't tell where it came from, and part of me didn't want to. My curiosity won. I climbed the metal stairs, hands brushing rusted rails. Each step creaked like a warning. My own heartbeats sounded deafening in my ears. Inside the car, the seat was damp. I hesitated. A flash of movement outside made me blink, and I swear one of the other cars had people, faces twisted, screaming silently. They weren't strangers. Their eyes reflected something I recognized. Versions of me, caught mid-panic, frozen in terror I hadn't yet felt, but already knew. The wheel lifted me higher than it should have, swaying in a wind that felt heavier than gravity, as if the air itself wanted to pin me to the car. Whispers started faint, almost inaudible. My name, my full name. I turned, but no one was there. Only shadows stretching against the night sky. I wanted to speak, but my voice betrayed me. A croak, swallowed instantly, leaving my mouth dry, my throat tight, my body trembling like I was already frozen in time. A flash of lightning revealed more cars, faces pressed against the windows, pale and wet looking, screaming but not moving forward, backward, spinning into moments I hadn't lived yet. I tried to step back, but the car creaked forward. Or maybe backward. Time had lost meaning. My reflection in the glass didn't match me anymore. The wind smelled of burnt sugar and blood. I gagged slightly, and a car opposite me shook violently. A shadow leaned against the wall, staring with eyes that weren't human. I could see my hands in the lap, toast, moving on their own, as if recalling moments my mind hadn't caught yet. Toast, something about it made me nauseous. The wheels slowed, but every car now seemed aligned perfectly. A circle of mirrors showing me 1,000 ways I could panic, dozen ways I could fail. I realized they were all me, versions frozen in loops, mid-scream, mid-step, mid-decision, and each spin backward dragged me closer to that same fate. The air shifted. Something wet brushed my arm. Not a hand, not a branch. Something alive. I yelped, stumbling against the seat, but it wasn't gone. I thought about leaving, running, screaming. The wind mocked me. My boots scraped metal steps that weren't solid, like they existed only when observed. A low whisper came, clear now. Your turn. It smelled of iron and smoke. My stomach turned. The Ferris wheel wasn't just spinning backward, a tweeze, choosing me. I forced my eyes away, tried to distract myself, anything. And that's when I noticed the shadows in the gaps between cars, waiting, stretching, reaching, perfectly patient. I wanted to shout for help. My voice didn't come out. A ta, maybe if I begged. A ta, but even that felt scripted. Already said, already heard. The wheel creaked again. Higher, faster. I felt myself split in two. One me moving backward with the wheel, the other still frozen, watching, paralyzed. I tried to close my eyes. The images didn't stop. Faces twisted, screaming, reaching, looping backward, forward. Nothing mattered anymore. Something wet touched my hand. Not skin, not flesh. A pulse. I jerked. It followed. Cold, alive, patient. My heart hit my throat. The wheels slowed. The lights flickered like dying stars. All the cars were now frozen. Faces turned to me, waiting for something I didn't want to understand. I stumbled out when it finally stopped. My knees shook. The wind carried whispers, low and urgent. I could still hear the creak, even from 100 meters. I ran, past gates, past lights, past the smell of wet sugar and iron. But the whisper followed, soft in my mind. Next time, it will be yours. I didn't look back. I never will. But sometimes, when it's quiet, I hear the wheels spinning backwards somewhere in the city, dragging someone else toward their version of me. And if you like hearing stories like this, you should subscribe. There's more truth, more nightmares, waiting in the shadows. Don't miss the next one.